Welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, Australia's juiciest gaming podcast. I am Zach Jackson, and joining me is James Wood,
Howdy, gamers.
Adam Ryan,
Hello there.
and Nathan Hennessy.
Welcome.
It's been a week since we've been here. A couple of weeks since I've been here, I think. I can't actually remember the last time I was here.
Yeah.
I was here.
You weren't here?
Welcome back.
Oof.
I was not here. Actually, it's just on that very, very quickly to go back a couple episodes. One thing I didn't get to discuss because, I'm a bit sad about this, but Ready at Dawn shut down. I am quite upset by that. I just thought that I would share that with you.
Yeah. I thought we did a good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being appropriately sad for you. Yeah.
We certainly were, but it did feel, and I think we said this at the time, it felt weird discussing the shattering of Ready at Dawn without you. It was...
Yeah, well, I didn't realize until after I said I couldn't commit that was actually the week.
It kind of seemed like it was just that you were in mourning, and that's why you weren't on the potty, which, for the listeners, that is the reason. Fuck it.
I think I think Ready Dawn's been not dead for a while, but they were gutted somewhat recently.
The version that you loved has been gone for a long time, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. They pivoted to VR, so got bought by
Dead to you. Yeah.
That was the moment. That was the moment. It wasn't, the failed, launch of a new IP. It wasn't, Sony refusing to buy them. It was, them cashing out and being bought by old Zucky. But here we go.
Rip.
Indeed. All right. How we all been?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every day I climb out of bed is a win.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's bleak this week, isn't it?
You look pretty good.
Thank you. That's like 6 people in the last 48 hours. Oh, that's more attention than I've had in like 6 years.
And that would you said it's your getting out of bed look, isn't it?
Yeah, this smart. I just woke up like this.
Love that.
Haven't washed my hair in like 4 days.
Ooh.
That's good for hair, though. So it's fine.
What's the longest you've gone without washing your hair, James? Also,
probably
what sort of shampoo do you use? Are you a pert man? Are you a 2-in-1?
Do you think I'm a 2-in-1 man?
Well, depends on the question. If we're talking...
Oh, no.
If we're talking about... I could have been referring to anything. If you're talking about pert, then no, you don't strike me as a kind of pert man.
Yeah. What is pert? Help me out here.
Great question.
It's the brand. It's Pert does like 2-in-1 shampoos.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've got in my shower. I don't know.
Absolutely not. I would never be seen dead with a 2-in-1.
Anna buys it, and I just use it on every part of my body. I don't know what to tell you.
She would be
I love those man products that are just like squirted in your hand, do your hair, your feet, everything at once. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It'll do your bits, your hair, and your taxes.
And quick trivia, if you're not an Australian listener, you might be surprised to know that big business down here is beer-scented colognes. Yay, while we're on the topic of dumb man products.
Yeah, man.
I sincerely thought you were about to pivot to like big business wants you to use 2-in-1. I was ready for that moment, but
I mean, yeah, it's all just a big psyop to make us dumb and less, versatile, isn't it?
Here we go. Now you've got him on the right track.
Yeah.
We're back.
But yes, Adam, I should not let Anna know that you mentioned those words that she buys 2-in-1 because your couch surfing privileges might be revoked.
Oh no! What have I done?
You could say.
Next, very good.
Very
good.
But yeah, James, I would like to know what's the longest you've gone without washing your hair, and what sort of are you a Garnier man?
No, I'm a Pantene guy, but I'm also like a whatever's on special, but still within an acceptable range of quality guy. So, you bounce around, you do what you need to do. And I think 5 days when I was camping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about toothpaste? Are you a Colgate man?
I think so. Yeah.
No.
I've never thought
Nathan's-
about it, I'll be honest.
Nathan's
I'm
shaking his head.
Sensodyne.
Sensodyne, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I like
yeah.
Yeah,
I
McLean's.
got
Keys from
sensitive
Sensodyne.
gums.
Love McLean's.
Cleans. Good old faithful.
That's it, mate. Adam, sorry.
I
Did you brush your teeth?
I don't, mate. No, I just get a mouthful of the Tassie water, which has God knows what in it. Few little swooshes around, spit it out.
Famously fluoride, meant to be good for the old
Absolutely.
dentures.
Got to kill the bacteria, the fish, and the germs in your mouth. You could call it an all-in-one. Nature's all-in-one. It's not. Jesus Christ, that fell off.
The Tassie
Anyway.
3-in-1 water supply.
Anyway, it's been a couple of weeks. Lots to talk about video
Smooth
game
brains.
wise. We've all had a pretty big week. Well, I think a couple of you in the middle there have had a pretty massive week.
Massive.
Crunch.
Very good.
Oh,
Very good.
We're not going to use that
He
segue
didn't.
either.
He did not
No.
mean to do that. Let's just make that very clear, because you could see when you reacted to it, he went, "Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, boys,
How do you-
look at me go."
How do you know?
Because
Don't create a division in here, Adam.
Oh, now he's off with the races. Look at him go.
Oh, fuck. All right, cool. Let's get stuck straight into it because there's a fair bit to talk about. Some of it is a little bit old news, so we won't go too long on that. But has anyone got anything they want to talk about before we kick off into the hashtag content?
Nothing from me.
Nathan's up.
Nah.
Let's go. Yeah, I've been playing Stalker. Remember when about 6 months ago, I don't know if you guys recall, I distinctly remember having a conversation with Zach on the podcast about Stalker, and he asked me, will you play any of the old Stalkers before the second one comes out? And I chuckled and I said, who has time for that, Zach, you old joker? And look, I've gone and I've wiped out Stalker Clear Sky in the last couple of weeks, and it was terrific. Still, like it's an old game. I think it came out like 2008, but as an atmospheric first-person shooter with a breadth of immersive and dynamic systems, it's remarkable how ahead of its time it was. I think if that game came out today, it would blow people away, because I feel like that was kind of the catalyst for a lot of these survival games that we see now. Like it's got all those systems back there and doing them terrifically in 2008. So it also crashed like constantly. It was a real headache like that, but it was worth it. Like I had a really good time, and that's fantastic when you can revisit an older title like that and it holds up remarkably well.
So you were playing on PC?
I was playing on PC. I forgot to mention. Yeah, it's because it came out on consoles back in recently, right? Like a few months back.
Master Collection or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't run these games vanilla on PC. They're not really recommended to. So a couple of atmosphere mods, a couple of like grass rendering mods, just real basic stuff that pushes the game like that was already there just a little bit further. And oh my goodness, the atmosphere is.
And a good pair of cans, yeah.
A good pair of cans. Oh, of course. Yes, indeed. The old Steel series has come through quite nice. It does sound remarkably good, actually. Yeah. So, real keen for the second one now. Like, I'm amped up. Might play through Call of Pripyat as well. Just fantastic.
I would love... Wait, is Adam got his hands up?
I do.
Yeah,
Hi,
I
Adam
wasn't
from
going to acknowledge
WellPlayed.
him.
Very quick question. Being that there's 3 Stalker games, why are we only getting Stalker 2 now? Is it just like their side stories, their expansions? Can you give me the lowdown on that?
It's a good question.
I've felt too dumb to ask anyone, so I figure why not make an ass of myself here?
It's kind of in between, because there's like distinctly still using the same engine, a lot of the same map terrains. So it's all very familiar between all the 3 games. But they're also set over different time periods of the same story. So a lot of these areas, you'll see them the same way, or rather you'll encounter them over the 3 titles, but they'll be distinctly quite different. Like, for example, Clear Sky is a prequel set before a big sort of catastrophe that occurs, which is the opening of the first game. So you get to see a very pre-catastrophized version of the zone where there's significantly less mutants and anomalies. And then when Shadow of Chernobyl, the first game, starts, it's all gone to hell. and then I think Call of Pripyat's just a tiny little bit later, and it's just constantly descending, and it's great to sort of see that progression through this world that you're so immersed in. I'm just very excited to probably revisit, hopefully, some similar locations again in the second game for the fourth time around.
I definitely
Nice. Okay,
think
that helps.
I definitely think you should check out, and I definitely want to play it because I backed it on Kickstarter. But Shinobilite, and they actually announced a second one, which is can't remember if that was last week or the week before. You may not have even touched on it, but I think it's called the
No, we didn't.
Exclusion Zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
coming next year.
Yes.
Yeah,
Consoles
Definitely
and
one
PC.
to watch.
yeah, so that'd be cool. I'm keen to get some time and just play through that. Yeah, very sweet. Very good. Anything else enjoyment wise? Has anyone had any fun this week?
That's a big ask.
Oh, I watched Pacific Rim 2 for the first time, and it's fucking dog shit.
fun.
And I
Yeah,
loved
it
it.
was weird how that
Yep.
missed.
Okay. Not quite the question I was going for, but thank you. Thank you for
No
that
worries.
one.
Did you have fun? No.
Nah,
That's
I guess
better.
you could
Not.
say it was like just okay.
just okay. You could say that, James. Exactly right.
Well, Adam,
Yeah.
talk to us about Star Wars.
Yeah, why not, hey? So yes, I have played and reviewed Star Wars Outlaws. So has James for our good old friends at Press Start. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I think James and I differ a little bit in opinion, maybe. So for those who aren't aware, it's the open world kind of action adventure game from Massive Entertainment, the folks who did the Avatar game and prior to that, the Division 1 and 2. It's very much kind of the Ubisoft open world. You go, you do your main story missions. There's a whole bunch of side activities, NPCs you can talk to, this, that, and the other, set across 5 different worlds in the Star Wars universe. And you play as Kay Vess, who is very much not a Jedi or a Sith or a Force user. She is a street thief at the beginning of the game who gets caught up in a big heist that goes wrong. She gets a death mark put on her head, so she sets out to put together a crew to pull off said heist, gain enough money to kind of, call off the death mark and live happily ever after. So the idea that Massive has been going for and the marketing is pushing is that it's a scoundrel fantasy. So you're, a gunslinger, smooth talker, which to be fair, Kay very much isn't. She's very shit at this to begin with and kind of grows into it, but it's endearing, I suppose. James
Question.
probably won't find it. Hello, Zach Jackson. Yes.
If I don't like Star Wars, sorry, let me rephrase that. If I don't know much about Star Wars, like I know the films, the basic elements, who is a scoundrel? What is that? Because that's all news to me. Like if you said, what's that robot dude? Boba Fett, man?
Sure, man. Absolutely.
He's like a bounty hunter dude? No.
Yeah, so Boba Fett's
so
bounty hunter.
Yeah, so what's a scoundrel? Who is one?
This scoundrel in the Star Wars universe is like your Han Solos, like the suave gunslingers. So they're smugglers, or they're on the wrong side of the law, but they've got a heart of gold. That kind of character archetype.
Space Cowboys.
Pretty much, yeah. Because Star Wars is both a samurai and a Western kind of mashed together. So they're kind of on the Western side of things. I know, Nathan. Shocking. But yeah, it's a third-person action adventure game. You go across these 5 different planets. So that's Tashara, which is has been made specifically by Massive. It's not a planet or moon that we've seen before. Akiva, Tatooine, Kijimi, and Cantonica, which are all planets that we have seen before in various media. And you're taking on missions that, go here, shoot a bunch of people, do a bit of stealth, climb a few ruins, this, that, and the other. That's kind of the golden path. Tacked onto it is also a syndicate system. So there are 4 syndicates within the game, which are like crime families, essentially. that you can gain favor with or fall out with, depending on decisions you make and missions that you take on. Those two things don't really intersect a great deal, like the greater story and the syndicate missions. They do in kind of basic ways, particularly towards the back end. But otherwise, it's kind of the main story is the main story, and the syndicate stuff is kind of a separate little story that's more focused on the open world. Your mileage with that will differ. I know James probably would have preferred if they were a bit more intertwined. I didn't mind so much. It kind of gives you something to do after you finish up with the main story. But yeah, either way, the bulk of the game, you'll be running and gunning and climbing and stealthing. All of it is varying degrees of good to fine to a bit rough. The combat is fine, I would say. It has a little bit of weight. Kay has a modular blaster that has a few different firing modes. So you've got your normal blaster, your ion shot that kind of takes care of shields, and the heavy shot that kind of I only really used for exploration. It breaks open rocks and shit. It also deals with heavies quite well. But that's the only permanent weapon you'll have in the game. You can pick up blasters and miniguns and grenade launchers and shit that are dropped by other enemies, but you can only use them temporarily. They have kind of like an ammo count. Once it's out, it's done. You also drop those whenever you go into a vent or climb a ladder or something, which really
or walk down a small slope.
Yeah. Really, really irritating. Don't know why. They don't do the Uncharted thing where you just sling it on your back and then drop it once it's done. Did find that irritating. But the combat is largely fine. I thought the exploration was good. It's very Uncharted, like climbing and jumping and swinging. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but it's good. It's serviceable. They do have a really good option that you can turn off all the fucking yellow paint, which I thought was great. It's still pretty well signposted where you're meant to go, but you don't feel like an idiot that's having their hand held, which I appreciated. And the kind of third part to gameplay is stealth, which you'll do, I would say, far too much of. The stealth is fine. Again, it's kind of what we've seen before. Enemies have a set path. There are cameras and sensors and all of that jazz. You do have your little companion Nyx, who is a little axolotl with like fur and shit. I don't know. He's very cute, but you can order him to like turn off a security system or distract a guard or attack a guard so you can close distance and attack them from behind or whatever. That's great. I do really like using him in the stealth gameplay, but a lot of the stealth missions or sections are instant fail affairs. So if you raise the alarm, too bad, try again. And that's antiquated by today's standards, and it's irritating if it's a once or twice off, but I like it maybe a dozen times throughout the 20 hours of the campaign, 15, 20 hours. So it gets old very, very fast. But yeah, these open worlds are quite, they're decently sized. They're quite varied as well. Like Kajimi is very dense and small, but places like Tashara and Tatooine are pretty massive. So you do have a speeder bike to get around on. It is pretty boring to begin with. After you upgrade it a little bit, it becomes a bit more engaging to ride around on. Not a great deal more. And getting between the planets, you do have the ship, which is the Trailblazer, which is dry as fuck. It controls fine. The ship combat is fine, but I never found myself wanting to engage with it. If I could just shoot off into hyperspace and avoid ship combat, then I would. The jumping to hyperspace is fantastic, though. You set your course, and you have to push the sticks forward to initiate it, and the prompt says punch it. Always feels great. Big ups on that. I don't take much to be impressed. But yeah, I think the biggest thing it has going for it, or the best thing it has going for it, is that it does feel quite immersive. Like, it does feel like Star Wars. All of the cities that you go to, there are Imperials like shaking down vendors. There are people playing Sabacc. They're rolling dice in the corners, or like talking about how the Fathier races are rigged, and it does feel like kind of the seedy underbelly of Star Wars. So I did really like just being in the worlds. But yeah, it definitely has some issues. There are technical issues as well. I had the game crash on me a number of times, and some visual quirks, and some very weird implementation of pre-rendered cutscenes that just kind of pop up out of nowhere for no reason, which is odd. Outside of that, there are in-game cutscenes that show zero emotion, unfortunately, because the character models, like their faces just don't show emotion. The voice works quite good. I'll say that, but it doesn't quite nail it with there's this big emotional moment, and Kay just looks like she's completely unimpressed. So yeah, it is what it is. But I don't know. I found it to be a really hard review because while all of the components are like passable, okay, or good, I still did have a lot of fun. Like, I think the IP does a lot of heavy lifting. I'm very aware of that, but they have done quite a good job at creating something within the IP. But it's not going to be for everyone. I think if you're not a Star Wars fan, give it a miss. It's not kind of destination playing if you're not a Star Wars fan. If you are, I think there will be enough here for you to be entertained for like the 20 hours. If you don't bounce off any of the core mechanics. But yeah, maybe a little disappointing. I gave it a 7 in all said and done, because again, I did have fun with it, and I'll probably go back for the expansions to see what they get up to. But yeah, I was left wanting a little bit. But James, I know you were a little less impressed than I was potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about sort of bouncing off the core mechanics, and I think I just bounced off of all of them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't love doing much of anything in the game, and I kind of realized that quite quickly. I was like, okay, well, if the shooting's not going to be good, at least I'll enjoy the stealth, and I didn't like the stealth. And then if the stealth's not good, I'll enjoy the bike. Didn't like the bike, and it just kind of kept cascading from there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my main gripe. Like, I think that I obviously care about thematics in Star Wars and the politics of Star Wars, I think, more than your average Star Wars fan. So I don't want to lean too much on that in my criticism, and I didn't in my review. I think that the main problem with Outlaws is that it's just not a good game, in my opinion. Like, I think it's kind of busted. We talked about stealth a lot in these instant fail sections, and you've got moments where sometimes if you leave a body on the ground because you can't move the body, it's a very rudimentary stealth. Some guards will respond to that and go, oh, wow, there's a body on the ground. We have to raise the alarm. Other guards will walk straight over it or stand on top of it and go, it's quiet out here. And so that inconsistency means that you can never trust the systems to do what they're supposed to do. And because of that, when you have an instant fail section where you spent 5 minutes trying to map a path through something and you get kicked back again and again, like both of us did in that last mission, it just becomes kind of exhausting. And like, I'd say 50% of the main missions are stealth missions. Like, it's
quite a few, like a surprising amount.
Yeah, it's an odd amount for how like rudimentary those systems are. And then I don't know. I thought the shooting was fine. I liked the guns you could pick up. I think the shotgun in particular was amazing. Like the idea of a Star Wars shotgun, so much fun. But again, you can't hold on to them, so that's just like it's fine. The pistol's okay. It is what it is. I have a question for you. So my review window was kind of like I gunned the main path, and then afterwards I asked around some other reviewers and said, "Hey, I don't love this. Can you point me to what you love? Like, let me go into the world and see the parts that you've seen," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What did you find in the open world that made those spaces worthwhile to you?
The open world specifically, not a great deal. So any of the settlements I enjoyed. I liked just being around Star Wars shit, I suppose. Like that's kind of the only way to say it. The open world itself though is like I think that's why I gravitated towards Akiva and to Kajimi more, because they were tighter spaces that didn't really have any of the wide open plains. I found them great for taking screenshots, and that's about it. I mean, gunning across the sand dunes, or hitting a jump onto Shara, it looks really pretty, and it has that moment of like, that looks really cool. But outside of that, it is a wide open space that connects to more interesting locations.
Yeah. That's what I found as well. I made an active attempt to engage with the open world after the main path, and I was like, oh, it's like another bandit camp raid, or it's another small climbing puzzle where I find a new jacket, and like that's fine. I mean, like Jedi Survivor doesn't do anything particularly more or less than that, and I love that game. I think it's just more that these worlds. It's just a lot of empty space, like quite a bit. And I know that we all want an open world Star Wars game, but I think the open zone approach works a lot better for games like this because you don't need to spend 5 minutes controlling an awkward BMX bike to get to the next location to feel as if you've explored a space.
I genuinely think if all of the the places on these planets you could explore were like Kajimi, it would be for the game's benefit.
Yes.
Like I don't necessarily think that like you said, you need to control a speeder to get around. If you had just like when you land on Tatooine, it's Mos Eisley, like you just maybe you just expand around Mos Eisley a little bit, and then it's just kind of that's what you get instead of Mos Eisley and a massive amount of the Dune Sea and another little, oh look, it looks like where Luke grew up on a moisture farm. Like it just, if they were more, I don't know, if they were just maybe a little tighter designed and smaller in scale, I think that it would have been a benefit.
Yeah, I also feel like if they had taken that approach, they could have varied these spaces a bit. Because I understand, like aesthetically, and I love the sound design. This game looks beautiful. Like it's a very good representation of Star Wars in a video game. I'm not going to deny that. But as far as I could tell, anyway, every settlement is the exact same set of minigames and vendors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like to me, it has like a real flattening effect on the idea of like it doesn't matter if I'm on Tatooine or Akiva or a planet that I love from a sequel trilogy film. If all I'm ever getting is like, "Hey, you want to play Sabak?" Like, no, I don't, because I just did that for 10 hours on Tatooine. I don't need to do it again here. I kept looking for the immersion, and I never got it because outside of its visuals, which are again very impressive, you can't touch that world. It's the same thing with this whole bullshit about like, oh, we don't have loading screens. You go from a planet straight into outer space. It's like, yeah, but you can't do anything. The ship is sitting in the clouds for 15 seconds at a time. You can tilt it to one side, but I ended up just fast traveling between planets because I got tired of watching those animations play out over and over again.
I got really excited when I realized that I could fast travel between planets.
Right?
It made my
Game
life
changer.
it
Yes.
made my life so much easier. But yeah, when I say that I found it to be immersive in a good way, it doesn't mean that it was immersive, like it was varied at all. Like that immersion was kind of pasted across the entire experience rather than, each world being distinct in the settlements. I just like it feels very Star Wars, but it's Star Wars with a big rubber stamp rather than maybe a fine line pencil, if that makes any fucking sense.
It does. Yeah.
But yeah, like I say all of this, but will I go back and play it even though I had a really rough time during the review period? Probably, because I didn't bounce off the systems and I enjoyed the gunplay and the exploration enough where it scratched that kind of open world itch that I had. So I don't know. I think it'll depend person to person. Obviously, that's how all of this works. Such a dumb thing to say.
Fans of the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mentioned this in my review, but like, the Far Cry games aren't particularly deep or interesting narratively or whatever they are. But like I found that like those systems were consistently reliably fun, right? And that's where the Ubisoft formula works for someone like me, where it's like I can switch my brain off and just know that when I shoot something, it's gonna feel good. When I crouch, I'm not gonna be seen. And I couldn't even get that from Outlaws. And so I think the Star Wars of it all definitely does go quite a long way for people. And I wish I'd liked this more, but yeah, I had a really rough time.
Yeah. Yeah, open to questions, boys, but we did drone on for quite a bit there. Apologies.
Attack of the drones, eh?
Hey, Jesus.
That was mid.
That was. Oh no, I'll say it. It was better than I expected from
You're
you. I'll
part
be
of the
honest.
problem.
Yeah, it's
You're
Hey,
part-
hey, hey. Very
Um,
good.
So, controller in hand. I'll give him. I'll give him a quick question. Controller in hand. I assume DualSense. How does it feel? Is there good haptic feedback? Have they done anything interesting with the controller here? Or
I think the haptics largely were actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, and I found this with Avatar as well. I think Massive actually do quite a good job with haptics and feedback in general. Like depending on what planet you're on, will kind of dictate how it feels in your hands to control the speeder. Like going across water feels slightly different to sand and to like a rocky terrain. And like general exploration and gunplay, there's nothing like super exceptional with the triggers or anything like that. But general haptics, I actually did think were pretty solid, all in all.
Adam, did you find it insane that you had to take your finger off of the control stick to open your sub menu to use a grenade?
Yep, absolutely. I hated the implementation of the grenade.
Yeah,
That's
very
why I
odd.
barely used them. I
Yeah.
tried not to use them.
Sorry,
'Cause,
Nathan
yeah,
mentioned controller,
very
so it
strange.
reminded me of that pain point.
I also, not to be that guy, but I played with the DualSense Edge, so I had the back paddles. So
Well,
didn't have that issue. So just spend $360, you fucking
yeah, and then another
creep.
190 on the game, and you're set.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
that was a lovely way to cap that discussion off. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, James, you want to talk about your little subtopic here, or are we gonna push forward?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like we can. It's been a bit of a discourse around this game. Like we got review code Wednesday morning, Tuesday morning, our time.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
There.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it
for
was in there
a
somewhere.
Monday night embargo, like, and that's a 20 to 30 hour game plus writing time as well. It's just been it's kicked off this new wave of the idea of these games are going gold a month out, and yet we're given 4 or 5 days, giving up your weekend, crunching late at night to get these things done in time. And then does that impact the quality of the criticism? Because I think Adam, you were talking about you like this, but because of the review window, you found yourself more frustrated sometimes than like you would
Yeah,
have been.
and I think it's hard, and I don't know. It's a weird thing to kind of talk about on a public forum, I suppose. But it can often affect how you feel about the game when your frustrations are less with the game itself and more that you're not able to progress because you need to progress to hit a deadline. So if you're given, 3 days to do something and you're just bashing your head up against the wall on a section of a game that you can't get past, whether is because systems are wonky or it's just, I was shit at whatever that Souls game was that I had to handball over to Nathan. Like, whatever it is, that is going to affect your thoughts and feelings on the game. So obviously, the longer we're given to, ruminate on these things and play through, the better. But particularly with like an open world game that I think I sunk almost 25 hours into this. I had family commitments to go to. I literally took my console and a monitor with me. So like any moment that I wasn't with my family, I was playing the game, trying to smash through it to hit embargo, and it's just not something I want to do again. So if it's avoidable, it would be great because yeah, you talk about crunch in the in creating these games, and then it gets to the tail end of it for critics, and they're doing the same thing. So I don't know, it sucks.
Real game critic hours. Who up?
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel that.
Adam hit all the points, so I'm good.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
No worries, mate.
Unless Zach, you have anything to contribute? You've been quiet for a while, so.
I mean, I think we've spoken about it before, right? Like how crunching for a deadline impacts your feelings towards a game, and sometimes it's not until you actually get that time to digest and think back. And like probably thinking back, I probably would have given The Last of Us Part 2 at 10, right?
I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and and probably even Roki as well, because I had the same issues with that game. Is that it got so close. I was going to be cutting it real fine, and that Last of Us 2 embargo was real tight. Like you had to be. So I had to make sure that that I didn't step over any fine lines there. But yeah, both those games just felt like they just dragged. But in both circumstances, like when I finished them, I wanted both of more games.
Yeah.
now that I could play freely. Yeah.
I also think like The Last of Us 2 does drag. That game is
amen.
25 hours
No
long.
question.
But they're also like games like that aren't designed to like for you to absolutely fucking rough ride through them. Like they're meant to, you have a session with the game and you can be left with those feelings that you've had and you can go away and just get lost in what you've experienced. But we don't have that luxury. And I know it's like I hate complaining about this because we get given free games to talk about on a website. Like that's fucking great. It's a wonderful position to be in. But when you just we often miss that vital part of it where we can play it, enjoy it, sit with it, and then on our own terms go back to it. So yeah, the tighter the deadline, the less we get to experience that core component of the experience.
Just
Weirdly,
on
you
that
can
note,
also-
just very quickly, just on the Last of Us 2 thing, like they actually that deadline, that lead time was pretty good. Really, I think it was close to 2 weeks. It might have been like 12 days or 10 days or something.
Did they tell you in like the review info what the playtime expectation was?
No, mate. They were so bloody.
You go in expecting a 15-hour game.
A little bit. A little bit, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's more that our life circumstances or our job circumstances, makes it a bit challenging, yeah. Even when you do get good lead times, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Go, James.
The only time I've had the inverse happen is with Starfield, where I gunned the main path, which was relatively charming. And the more I saw of the edges of it, the more I was like, oh, wait, hang on. But because I didn't have time to properly branch out, that score, I think, ended up a bit higher than I would in retrospect. And that's one of the few times I've seen it work as a sort of inverse of this situation.
The other
But I mean, what's the worst that came from that? Xbox unfollowed you on Twitter?
Well, no, they followed him first.
Yeah, exactly.
First response. Like, this guy's onto something. High Starfield review. Let's go.
The other thing, we've spoken about this privately before, is there's no gun to our head that says we have to hit embargo, right, on these things.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, for our reviews to have any real impact, and for our time to be kind of worth it, you want to hit embargo, right? So that's that double-edged sword.
Intersection between art criticism and commerce.
Yeah. And yeah. Anyway. Nathan, any thoughts? What's the last game that you've crunched, mate?
Is that your attempt at a segue?
Potentially. It was going to be depending on your answer.
I mean, this game that we're about to discuss, if this is our lead, I've managed to finish 24 hours, over 24 hours before for review time. So that's nice, because when we talk crunch, to expand on that, I think, I guess I'm not speaking for myself, but it's not uncommon to finish game on said day of embargo and then rush that motherfucker out and hope that the editor is okay with that, because that's a lot of pressure on them. So yes, I want to talk to you folks about Emio, the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club, the fourth entry, I believe, in the Nintendo Entertainment System Detective Adventure series, a series that hasn't seen a mainline title in 27, 28 years. So I've never played any of this series before, and this is kind of my cup of tea. So you folks might have a passing...
I have a question. Is this that game that people thought was the Bloober Team game?
So you guys
Yes.
might have a passing association with this game, as it was revealed on Twitter about a month ago. People thought this might be a Bloober title coming to Nintendo. Ooh, got you, Zach. I see where
Why'd
you're
they
going.
Oh no,
why'd
I
they
just,
get
I
excited
just
about
wasn't sure if this was the same game.
Well, no, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So, Nintendo put a kind of like a teaser image up that kind of teased an adult game coming to the Switch or to one of their platforms, particularly. And yeah, there was rumors that it was a Bloober game. This is not that. This is I don't know if I'm actually. I don't think I'm allowed to say who the developer is. Nintendo can get a bit weird about that. But this is a MA15 plus game for us in Australia. It's an adult, like a fairly like adult game, at least rating wise. But what it actually is a visual novel masquerading as a detective adventure. So the story of
Good
this
start.
game, yeah, this is a weird one. So Emio the Smiling Man is a story about two teenage detectives that are part of the Tsugi Detective Agency. It's set in the 90s in a kind of rural town, and there's a serial, or rather, it appears that there may be a serial murder case that's re-emerged after a 20-year hiatus, particularly around this urban myth of the Smiling Man. The Smiling Man is a person that's believed to be in a trench coat and wear a paper bag with a kind of crude smiling face on it, which was what Nintendo teased. This kind of paper bag face kind of immediately looks a little bit creepy. This character is going around and strangling young women, or rather, like children, girls, um, and then putting a paper bag on their head of their corpse. And that's kind of the connecting facet of what's occurred in these string of murders about 20 years before the events of the game. And then another 15-year-old child, this time a boy, turns up in a forest, strangled, paper bag on the head. So they think that 20 years later, this serial killer has re-emerged, and there's this whole story about this urban myth that then takes off once again. How you play this game is you're given a menu. You're always in the first person of one of the two teenagers from the detective agency. One's your player named character, just this young boy, and another is Ayami, who's this girl from the previous games, which I've not played. I've got no idea what they entail. And you are given the case as kind of like a favor to the local police to kind of help them out on this one for whatever reason. And you young whippersnappers put your heads together and interview all the local townspeople to try and get some information on the origins of this myth, who might have known the victims from 20 years ago, who knows the victims now. And what you're going to be doing is navigating through this menu of options that will ask you, do you want to ask, as in ask a question of a character? Do you want to look at something very point and click game-esque? So do you want to look at something in the environment? Do you want to show something from your inventory? Again, if you've played any like point and click games from any time from now until the 90s, you've seen this before. You're usually given like a contextual set of prompts that you can use to interact with what's on screen. And because this is like presented like a visual novel, you're normally presented with just a scene, maybe one or two characters on the scene, and then your contextual options. There's no real player agency in this. The game tries very hard, not really, to give you the illusion that you're a detective and that you can kind of suss all this out. But really how the gameplay unfolds is you've just got to kind of repetitively go through each of those prompts until they're exhausted, like you're talking to a Dark Souls NPC. So if I press the ask prompt, it's then going to open a sub menu, and there might be like two questions I can ask. And I just keep mashing those two questions until eventually the information just starts repeating, and I know I've exhausted that. And the game wants me to do that, so then it can start reeling off the responses for the next prompt. So then it might say, I'll give you an example. There's about a point halfway through the game where I've got some police sketches of who might be the identity of this killer, right? This feels exciting. I can show these sketches to people. I might get some traction. But then this game has this weird kind of cultural sensitivity about it where I can't just go up to a person and show them a police sketch. The game goes, no, that would be rude. You've got to greet them and, be a Japanese person first. Like you've got to be, it's very Japanese. You've always got to observe decorum Like that's this weird sort of undercurrent of the game. Normally in a Western detective game, you can go up to someone who's traumatized and just start reeling off questions to them like it's nothing. This game's like, no, this person could be traumatized, or this person's on their mobile phone. You better not disturb them right now. Maybe come back later. And because of that, what then unfolds is the game constantly funnels you through this narrow set of prompts. It wants you to exactly press prompts in the right order to advance the 2 lines of text that's fed to you at a time. Because yes, again, this is a visual novel. This isn't really a detective adventure. This is more in line with something like Phoenix Wright, but Phoenix Wright normally has a little bit more game to it. You've got the exam that you sit when you were in the courtroom. This game also gives you an exam at the end of every chapter. There's about 12 chapters. They're less than an hour long, so it's quite snappily paced. It asks you, to recap some of the evidence you might have discovered in that chapter. And if you get any of it wrong, the game just goes, oh, darn, you forgot the right answer. This is the right answer. Let's move along. So it's very gentle like that. You'll never hit any fail states or get stuck. You'll never get stuck because you just keep mashing those prompts, baby, and one of them are going to unlock the next set of dialogue options for you. And you cannot, there are many points in this game where you cannot intuit how the game wants you to press its prompts. The game just blatantly wants you to just mash them motherfuckers until you can proceed. And that's kind of fine by me. Like for a visual novel enthusiast, I'm used to a pretty passive experience. The most I'm used to is you might get 6 or 7 points over the course of a 40-hour visual novel where you're asked to input some kind of decision or interaction that changes the course of the visual novel. That doesn't occur here. This is like a straight 12-hour visual novel with just one track through it. Occasionally, you might be able to ask some questions out of order that gives you a slightly different, response. It's not going to change anything. Just someone responds happy rather than angrily. So again, very passive. I think my issue is that this game is really trying to sell itself as a detective adventure. It's giving you this suite of tools to make you think you're a detective that can ask the right questions and show the right evidence, and none of that matters at all. It's really it looks great, like visually. The animations here, it's kind of semi-animated, so there's kind of a breathing quality to the characters and environments, a bit of wind sweeping through and moving curtains. It's nice, it's subtle. It's all voice acted, Japanese voice acting, and all sounds professional and terrific. No criticisms there whatsoever. It captured me emotionally as well, because I mentioned earlier you've got to observe a lot of courtesy. It's very heartfelt. And it requires a lot of empathy. This is a very character-driven narrative. If you don't care about these characters you meet around the town and their shitty little lives, there's nothing here for you, because the central serial killer mystery, unfortunately, does not develop over the course of those 12 chapters. It just kind of fucking does an exposition dump right at the end of the game and just goes, right, those are the mysteries we could have shown you through the game, but you were too busy talking to the townsfolk. So this all occurred off screen. Now you're up to date, and credits roll. Happy days, you're done. So I've got mixed feelings on this one. It's a nice story, quite well presented, and it's a very different kind of feeling of a visual novel. It's very sincere. There's no kind of like horny teenagers and weird weeaboo comical nonsense. It's straight faced and it's nice. It's got a good heart about it, but there's not much game here. It's quite short for the story that it tells. The fact that it doesn't really tell much of a story, it just kind of ends, left me a little bit dissatisfied. And yeah, this is a hard game to recommend on the current market of visual novels. And that most visual novels run 2 to 3 times this and tell a much more ambitious story. This just feels like a little snippet of a season of television, just like a season of True Detective. And like True Detective, it doesn't bother wrapping up any of the plot threads. It just waits to the end and goes, this maybe all happened and you'll be good, off you go. So kind of feeling maybe a 6.5 on this one, because it's nice, but I'm not in a hurry to recommend it.
I have a question.
Jamathan.
Is it scary?
Not at all. No. Like I
Okay.
said, that serial killer mystery, that's not really. Oh, I'm going to tell you something controversial. So it's almost like none of that serial killer stuff is actually in the game. Like the game is 99% just talking to townsfolk, and it's basically as PG as you can get. You're not going to see anything. But then something happens at the end of the game, the embargo I can't talk about, but I'm talking the end of the fucking game. and it goes from 0 to 100. We're talking adult themes, really violent, blah blah blah. But it is completely at odds with 99% of what come before it. It's just a very child-friendly detective game that some people are dying, but you don't really see any of it. It happens, but you're not confronted by it. And then the game just goes, oh, by the way, all this fucked up shit happened, and we're just going to show you now before you delete the game and forget about it. And it was weird. I
Interesting.
got the feeling that it was rushed because there is a lot of story here. When you get to the end of the game, you're going to go, but there's still like another 10 hours of story here. And it goes, oh, no, here you go. That's all you need to know. Off you go. And that's, yeah, if anyone saw the marketing for this game and thought, oh, Nintendo's putting out a spooky game, you couldn't be further from the truth. Not at all. This is the most PG shit. And then it does a weird bait and switch at the end to try and justify its MA rating. Not happy, Stan. Yeah, that was a bit weak sauce. So yeah, my heart tells me something weird behind the scenes on this one because it's a wonky donkey at the end of the day.
So it's a kids game.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, look, I would be happy recommending this as like a young, like a tween's first visual novel. Like I would be very happy to recommend this to them. Adult themes aside, like I think by the time it gets to its adult themes, it's already earned it, and it's not actually that tragic. I don't know. But it's nice. Like I actually thought the sincerity and heart of its story was absolutely there. It just wasn't thrilling.
Bummer.
Bummer indeed. Well, there you go. You can check out the review. When's that? I mean, that'll be up when this goes.
It will
out.
be. Yeah, that'll be up by this.
Good job. Well done. All right, cool. I've got a couple things for you. I won't talk too much because we've gone for a bit, and I haven't really finished my. In fact, I haven't really even started the review for Dustborn. But I've played and I've finished Dustborn. We've spoken about it before. This is the game from Red Thread Games, who did a game I really like called Dragon. They also did Dreamfall Chapters, something or other like that. And this is published by Quantic Dream, or actually, it's what they call Spotlight by Quantic Dream. So it's like Quantic Dream's whatever.
Publishing
Yeah. This is so we've spoken about it before. This is the narrative adventure dialogue heavy choice driven game that it's got that really, really cool, very, very bold, like cel shaded art style that's very, very colorful and very, very nice to look at. Like the artwork is phenomenal. The detail on the main characters, the backgrounds and stuff like that are a little bit like bland, but I think that's kind of not the appeal, but it makes like these characters stand out a bit more. They're also a little bit somewhat stylized to a certain degree, but yeah. Anyway, it's set in I can't remember the year, but it's set in the future, and it's set in this I can't remember what the term that they use, but it's like a post info something or other future. But basically this is like an alternate universe, and in this world JFK survived. He was never actually assassinated. It was actually his wife, and because of this, I think JFK. The details might be a little bit off here, but this is essentially what's happening. And because of this, JFK set up this whole organization called Justice, and basically then the United States kind of imploded in like a civil war, and
The fuck?
it's all set into like. There's like...
This is an awesome pitch. Keep going.
This is excellent. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever watched Man in the High Castle?
Yes.
You know how like the US is like segregated into like 3 areas almost?
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So this it's kind of like that. So you've got I don't remember what side's which, but basically, yeah, parts of the US are governed, if you want to call it that, or run by different factions or different areas. So you play as a character called Pax, and she is what they call is an anomal, and anomals have these powers of language, right, which has been unlocked. You'll find that out through the game about how this has come to be. And these powers allow you to use words as weapons, right? Now that sounds really cool, and in theory, it's really cool. And you've seen the gameplay when it's used in game, the combat. Okay, so before I go any further, I just got to say the combat is pretty shit here. Like this is it's not a good combat game. Like this is, and I think the game knows that because at the start of the game, essentially it asks you, do you want more combat or do you want less combat? You know, and I chose less because I was like, I know that it's going to get repetitive. It's not fun. So the less I have to do of this, the better.
And that
anyway,
became apparent to you after how long playing? Sorry?
I got that impression after the preview that it was going to be, I think the full experience would be quite, it would get old pretty quickly. Anyway, so yeah, you play as this character called Pax, and you're part of a traveling band, which is actually a cover story because you've actually stolen this package, or you're delivering this package across the country. So you're, in order to get through the different checkpoints and into the different zones, you're a traveling band. So every now and again throughout the game, you'll actually have to do these like Guitar Hero, like rhythm kind of games that are never really quite explained overly well. Like you've got like a score, but the scoring is never really quite explained. Other than you've hit the note perfect, you haven't hit it, or it's whatever. This is when gamers say keep politics out of my games, this is like the complete opposite of this. This is like this is the devs going put politics in my games.
May I have more politics?
Yeah, this is a very heavy political game, and it's very left. It is it's very left favored. So
is there like a Soviet-run part of the United States in this game?
No, but there's something that is similar. I think, yeah. I can't. Yeah. Anyway,
Comrades.
so yeah, there's lots of like it's also like kind of like young appealing as well, sort of like to a certain degree. There's like lots of like lingo in there that it's just it all becomes a bit cringy, like a bit towards the end.
Written by millennials.
It's when people do stuff because they do it, and then you go, no, you're just doing that because you want a reaction. Like
edgy, but for leftists.
It's like they've like made this, so they've just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna make a political game, cool, whatever. But it feels like things have been put into this game to deliberately get a reaction, to deliberately stoke the fire. So it's like, yes, I want to go out and
provocative.
Yeah, like I feel like I can't quite figure out if they've done this deliberately to this extent to be this kind of political.
Are you able to give an example, or do they all fall under kind of spoilery?
I can't really think of one. Like, there's so many. Like,
right. Okay. It's like a prevailing vibe.
Yes, it's got this. Yeah, it's like good on the devs for like
time on Reddit.
For like making like in my opening line for this review that I've written, like I've only written like the intro basically, and it's like a minute reading the comment section on any YouTube video or like Reddit thread for this game will tell you who this game is not for, right?
Sure.
And it's like the devs have like doubled down on that, being like, you're not gonna fucking like this game anyway, and it's probably gonna piss people off, so we're gonna just go a bit hard. It's just it's the vibes, it's the themes. It's I don't know how to, like, you have to kind of play it to understand, like without giving spoilers away. Anyway, but yeah, so you play as this person, you go across the thing, and yeah, it's very, very dialogue heavy. One thing that is very annoying is these characters do not shut up. They talk all the time, and you'll often be given like choices. So your words, your word powers, they can be used in combat, and it's things like you can push them away, you can make them turn on one another, you can make them think that they're on fire, for example. You can do this, a bunch of different stuff. Funnily enough, it doesn't work on robots, and like a good chunk of the people that you fight are robots. So, um, but you also use it in dialogue. So there'll be times where you might need. So one of the good examples is one of the very first sequences, and a cop pulls you over, and basically you essentially freeze the cop in place, and in order to escape. So you can use your powers to kind of get through different dialogue, and sometimes options will pop up and then options will disappear if you don't take it long enough. Across the journey, you start with 5 characters, and then by then along the way you pick up a couple different ones. Yeah, I didn't love it towards the end of it. The ending kind of stinks as well. It's yeah, the back third of the game is a bit junk. Yeah. But anyway, the review will be up soon. It's got really, really cool, really, really good art style, and really it's really well done. I think the voice acting is actually really good. I do quite like that. Question?
Sorry, Adam from WellPlayed here. Do you think this would be? What am I trying to say? Because the story and the setting sound genuinely pretty fucking cool, but the gameplay is kind of pulling it into the shit category.
It is a walking sim that tries to be God of War.
Right. So yeah,
Just
my question is
God of War.
Yeah, I know. But it's there's a lot more choices and like dialogue options choice.
Would it be better off just being a straight walking sim? Would it be better if it just let the story be the main draw rather than kind of tack on
the other interesting
combat
thing
and rhythm and shit?
With that is that you can actually, I'm pretty sure you can skip entire combat sequences. There's actually a button, I believe, you can actually skip the combat sequences entirely. So you can just fast forward to the end of the combat. So this is what I'm saying is I'm pretty sure the devs knew that the combat wasn't great, right? Yes, but the game would need to be significantly shorter because it's about 15 hours.
Would that be a bad thing?
I don't think I don't think you would. I don't know what you would fill that time with.
Yeah, would it be bad if it was half the length than a walking sim?
I think if the game was shorter, yes, that would be a better thing. It does have this cool thing where the end of every chapter, or whatever you want to call it, is this little comic book thing, and you can kind of read through it, which is quite neat. And there's just stuff in there that just, I don't know. It all feels a little bit. Why?
We didn't hit on this when we talked about Outlaws, but that is a game that also lets you turn off a lot of its systems. Like the hacking minigame and stuff like that can just be cut out entirely, which Adam and I both found very rewarding to do. And I kind of think I do wish more games would have this level of granular option in that, hey, if you're not vibing with a particular subset of our mechanic, just fucking turn it off. Enjoy the story, enjoy the vibes, whatever it is. Because it does sound like I would read this book. I don't know if I'd play this game.
That's what I was trying to get at. I'm invested in. I can see myself getting invested in the world, but I just don't want to engage with the mechanical side of it. And I agree with I think maybe a lot of developers, and I mean they're creatives, so I get it. They don't want to admit. I don't know. Maybe it seems like an admission of something being average if you give someone the opportunity to switch it off. It's like admitting, yeah, okay, we know it's not that great, so you'll probably want to skip it. But not everyone is going to enjoy everything. So I have no issue with, being able to just make the experience a bit more modular.
I think that's fine. But when you are talking about a core component of a game that it allows you to skip, because there's upgrade systems and everything with this combat. There's boss fights. So there's boss fights, there's upgrade systems.
Sure.
There's combos. So you can basically use your word, when you use certain powers, you can actually utilize one of your team members to come in and like do like a special move kind of thing. So combat is not a large, but it's like, you know, it's quite a big part of the game. So it's not just like, you know, turning off for like a little mini game. Like, you know, it's kind of like with Deathloop, right? Deathloop gave you the option. The code's already on the door. You don't have to worry about fucking putting in the code every single fucking time. Do you know what I mean? Something little tiny like that. Yeah, I think when you have a, you know, a key component of your game, it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I think I know I'm probably being a bit harsh on it. My brain's a bit fuzzy with this game. I think it's around a 7. I didn't hate it, but I think towards the end I was kind of like, it's all getting a bit too much now. Like, this is a really, really probably a bad example, but when you're doing combat, your character will often say little quips and stuff, right? And they just get very repetitive, but it's also, like I said, it kind of speaks to the vibe that this game is going for, and that people will get a bit pissy with it. But there's things like, so one of the attacks is like, it says like girl power. It's like, because you play as a female, it's like girl power. And then there's another one that's like bitch attack. Like that's the kind of vibe we're going for here. And is this like
ironic?
Well,
like ironic white liberal feminism or genuine?
No, well, you play as a black woman.
Oh, it's just that kind of stuff is very white feminism. That is a very particular brand
superficial.
And you've got every character in this game has got pronouns. Every character's
technically every character in every game has pronouns, but
you know, but they make a real big point of it. You know what I mean?
I know. It's just being yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, everyone's a little bit. Quirky, if I'm trying to use like a safe word. Like everyone's got that little bit
you can say annoying if you mean annoying.
No, I don't. I don't really have any problem with like what they choose. You know, like the main character's a lesbian, but not one of the other characters in the game is like a lesbian. One of the guys I think is like, I actually don't know what he really is, but yes. But it's like that kind of mixture of all those things that a lot of people don't like. Yeah, it's like the woke game kind of shit, right? And I think like they do mention little stuff, and they do kind of fourth wall it a little bit at times. Not fourth wall, it's probably the wrong term, but like they do, you know, they make comments that that they know what they're doing. Anyway, I'm around about 6.5 out of 7 at the moment. The combat did kind of bring it down, but the world and story was kind of interesting, kind of until the end. Yeah. And I spoke way too long. I did not think I was going to talk for that long on that one.
You never do.
I said
Dustborn, eh?
I had good flow with that one. Good energy. Also, the rhythm game.
Glad you think so. Just it count when you say it yourself. Oh my god! My flow was good, guys.
Yeah. I should have been there. I was. It was amazing.
Nathan fucked off, so he was like, "No, this is shit." Anyway, okay, very very quickly. This one will.
You've got 2 minutes.
You can time me all you want, motherfucker. You can, mate. You just spoke for like 35 minutes.
Stop wasting your time.
You shut up.
Yeah, because it's the biggest game release of the year, and you're out here being like, "Well, the
two of
Google
us and one of
Pixel
you.
Pro has a couple of good cameras on it." Like, yeah, we get it. It's a new phone.
That's basically it. I mean, that's basically it. Like, you know, I mean, you've nailed it. All right, I was lucky enough to review the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Pixel 9. So if you're wondering what the Pixel 9 Pro XL is, it's essentially replacing the 9 Pro as the one with the bigger screen, and the 9 is just the 9. There is a 9 Pro coming, so it will have all the juice of the 9 XL, but in the smaller form factor, which is pretty cool because most phones don't do that. They kind of give you like a weaker version of the phone, kind of like the Pro Max, the Pro, and the normal one, you know, the numbered version in the iPhones. I think the Pro is slightly less. Anyway, long story short, pretty good phone, new cameras, as James said, all over it. You get updated RAM. So in the Pro XL, you're looking at 16 gigs of RAM. I think that's correct. And the 9 is 12 gigs. So they're both up 4 gigs each, which is pretty good. Screen's fantastic. Build on the Pro XL is really cool. It's like more of a square, rounded, flat surface edge rather than the rounded edge of the previous version, and I do really, it makes it feel really like premium, and it's a bit weightier, and yeah, it feels really nice to hold. I've never held something so big in my hand before. The price though is where it gets massive. Again, they've just, any advantage that Google has had, I think, is basically gone now, because these phones are fucking expensive. And I'm not saying they're cheap to make, but I think one of the advantages that Google did have was that they were a little bit cheaper than your kind of Samsungs and your Apples. This time, they're basically on par. So if you're looking at the what I got the 256 XL Pro XL, you're looking at $2,000, $199. Sorry, 199. Fuck, I can't remember how many nines that is. And if you're looking at the Pro, sorry, the 9, you're looking at. I didn't write that in my review, but you're looking at, I think, $1,350. It's about that, yeah. And that's for, like, your basic 9 now, which is still like a really good phone. Like, it's still a great phone.
Yeah, it's a flagship model.
But yeah, and the other thing that's wild is these. The 8 Pro, and that only came out in September, October. So it's less than so I think they're trying to jump ahead of the others. But they only just did the 8A, which was, I reviewed that in May or June. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, like I said in my review, I think I just said, they're getting easier to recommend, as this is a great phone, but they're getting harder to afford. On itself, amazing. If you've got the $2,000 or whatever it might be, Afterpay, Latitude, blah, whichever way you want to do it, it's definitely a good purchase, or like an upgrade. But if you are someone that buys a phone and you got a Pixel 8 Pro, for example, there's very minimal upgrades worth paying for here. But once again, you get 7 years of support through the OS, and just got to remember that is release support. So the phone is out now. It's 7 years from now, not from when you purchase it. That probably needs to be made clear. Right. Which makes sense. This phone is out this day. You get 7 years of support until. The other big thing here is, I guess, the biggest thing for this is the AI. We'll touch quickly on it. A couple new features. There's the Add Me feature, which allows you to take the example they use. I don't know. I've never had this happen, but has anyone been out with a group of people or gone traveling or whatever you're doing? You're with a friend or with a partner,
and don't do any of those.
You're like, hey, can you take a picture of us for someone? You go to Jimbo on the street and you go, hey mate, do you mind just taking a picture of me and this person? Most people would probably say no.
I have been in that situation, Zach. I have, yeah.
Thank you. Well, if you were nervous about doing that and you didn't want to do that, you could actually go and you could take 2 pictures, one of your friend in this, and then your friend could take that phone, switch out with you, and then you can actually superimpose yourself into that photo. That's one of the new
I'm going to have so many friends in my photos from now on.
You have to be, but it has to be taken in the same backdrop though.
I fucking hate
the scheduling. We'll schedule it.
They're gonna, yeah.
I think the tech is cool, but it's not a real fucking image. It didn't happen. It's so weird. It's.
Yeah, so you're taking as long as the other one is like a screenshot. So if you save all your screenshots, it'll actually absorb all the data in those screenshots. So if James is looking at socks, like black socks, feet, maybe we'll go with black socks, and he's like, oh, what's that real cool pair of black socks I took a screenshot of?
I wonder what they look like underneath.
Yeah.
And so does that mean that all of this data is being stored by Google? And then is that now being used in training models for other AI? How does this work?
Don't
Do we
ask
know?
questions, bro.
Mate, fuck if
Yeah,
I know. I just said yes to a free phone. No,
Oh, I
but
get it.
I don't actually know on that one because I think it's all. I want to say it's all stored on the. I mean, all the
Ugh.
screenshots are on your phone. So if you get rid of the screenshot,
Mhm.
it's gone from that app, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it uploads to
Okay.
the cloud, but it
My
uses
question
the.
would be, would you be able to use that function with all your internet services turned off?
Mm.
I'm guessing that would be a no.
Don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. The other one is like the Pixel Studio, which allows you just to fuck around with some images. So in my review, for example, there's a street, Olympic Boulevard in Melbourne here, and same picture, and I just typed in, I highlighted the road, and I basically turned it into underwater, and it looks really fucking real. So that and then you get the new Gemini stuff with it. But it's all in the review if you want to go read about that. Yeah, and the Gemini stuff's relatively cool. It's like a live chat, like a chat bot kind of thingy, but yeah, it's not too stupid. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. More than 2 minutes, so fuck yourself, James.
Quite a bit, but that's fine.
We don't mind that now and again.
We'll make up for time in the news section. There's nothing to talk about. Speaking of wrapping it up, Jeff Keighley is back on stage.
Well, hey.
Oh, you're good. You're good to just roll with that.
Oh, is that it?
I don't know. I didn't know if you had shout outs or anything that you wanted to hit.
Nah, fuck him.
Nah, fuck him indeed. Gamescom opening night. I don't know, like 2.5 hours of just fucking brain melting slop. Not the games themselves necessarily. There was quite a bit announced, obviously. Yes.
Oh my God.
Who wants to shout something out that they are excited about?
I want to shout out because I can't stop talking. You can't stop me. It is a game called Directive 8020. It is the new game in the Dark Pictures anthology. That is the Supermassive series. And interestingly enough, this one is actually super self-published. Whereas the previous Dark Pictures were with Bandai.
So it can't. So it's not part of like the wording's weird on this because it's not a Dark Pictures anthology. Blah 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 blah. It has a different title, does it not? It's like Dark.
No, it's literally called the Dark Pictures anthology. Directive 8020.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
So yeah, because the Dark Pictures was always designed as different seasons. This is the first game in the second season.
Is it?
Yeah.
I swear it had.
No, because there was. What?
On the Dark
Interesting.
Pictures fandom site, it says it's the first installment of the second season of the Dark Pictures anthology.
Well, there
Now,
you go.
that's not an authority, but it does align with.
I'm going to
what
look at
Zach said.
the original trailer of this because I swear it had a different. Anyway, it doesn't, but that's completely irrelevant. But yeah, it does look cool though. The trailer for it is very, very cool.
It does. I actually initially I thought it might have been the new Quantic Dream game, and then I quickly.
No, they're working on Star Wars.
Did that get cancelled?
I
No, it's
understand why you would
still-
think that.
Well,
There's
yeah,
been staffed
given
apart.
it's gone to ground, but yeah.
That looks looks really cool. So I'm keen for that one.
No More Room in Hell 2 got a showing. That's the 8-player. Everyone sort of spawns in a big world, and you got to try and get together while evading zombies. And if anyone dies, they remain dead. And looks really exciting. I hope we can get some heads on the team around that one. That'd be a bit of fun.
Yeah,
coming out this year in early access, I believe Gamescom said.
Yes, indeed. I'll be on board for this one. It does look like a good old time. I also love the idea of a game that was originally it was a mod, of
It was a Source Engine mod,
yeah, and then a sequel being like a fully fleshed out thing. I don't know. I think
from
that's
the
pretty cool.
Chivalry devs, I want to say,
Who are just
on
kicking
Banner
goals
Studios
at the moment. So good on them. I'll do a quick shout out of the new game from Tarsier Studios, which previously did Little Nightmares, and then for whatever reason are not doing Little Nightmares. So they said, fuck yeah, we'll do Little Nightmares elsewhere. Reanimal is their new game, which is a co-op horror experience that is very, very Little Nightmares, but they've kind of ratcheted up the horror tones quite a bit more. It looks fucking rad, and I'm very excited for it. But yeah, I'll definitely have to look into more of as to what happened with Tarsier and Little Nightmares. But anyway, looks really good.
Another shout out. I was
Carry
gonna,
on, Dad.
maybe you can leapfrog on me.
Okay.
Leapfrog on me? Leap on me? Frog on me, bro. June
Alright,
Awakening.
Drink first,
Yeah?
but yeah.
Yeah. June
Unknown
Awakening.
Nine,
We got a little bit of a
Unknown Nine
glimpse into this
Awakening.
one.
Is what you just said?
The other Awakening game.
Back
But
your box.
yeah. So the June universe is getting a parallel telling of its story in this open world survival MMO, apparently. And we got to see glimpses of all kinds of things like settlement building, draining resources, aka water from foes, very in-universe Dune stuff. Sort of trying to put the pylons in the ground to attract the worms, the biggie worms. My only issue with this is, as cool as it looks like they're replicating a lot of Juniverse shit into this game, whenever they try and execute an example of a character interacting with any of these systems, it switches to like a cutscene, so you never actually get to see any kind of like 5 or 10 second clip of like any of these possibly cool systems actually being executed. So there's a little bit left to the imagination. The game is coming out in early 2025, so I hope that we're not going to get any kind of bait and switch here, that they can stick the landing, because it's a real cool concept, this one.
Agreed. I mean, it is coming to consoles, which I'm excited about. It's nice to see. I always am happy when a survival game of any sorts makes its way to consoles. It doesn't happen as often as it should. So I'm down for that. It is funny seeing like the aesthetics of Denis Villeneuve's Dune world, which is very cinematic, very serious. And it's like in Dune, you can build a log machine. Like, yeah,
Horny.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, fuck it. Why not? I just wanted to give a shout out to the first Berserker Kazan. Yeah, very stylized anime hack and slash action looking thing.
Sick.
A lot of blood physics, particles. Just yeah, looks cool. And starring Ben Starr, everyone's favorite man now. So
Hey.
I like that.
Nathan, we were talking before. Well, actually, well, we were all talking before, but fuck, I forgot the name of it. Atomfall.
Atomfall.
So I'm just reading
Yes.
here on Eurogamer, shout outs, is that they showed Sniper Elite Resistance is coming next
They
year.
did indeed. Yeah, new
Mate.
Sniper Elite announced.
That studio can't be that big, surely.
They pump out like that. There
Are
are
they
years
doing
where they'll have 2 games drop in a year. Like,
Are they
they're
doing
pretty
Contraband?
versatile.
Is that them? Contraband?
Rebellion is working on Contraband. Are they?
I forgot that existed.
I think Rebellion's are quite a surprising little studio. I don't think they do have many folks on there, but they know how to churn them
Nah.
out.
It's Avalanche. Sorry, I was thinking of something completely
Avalanche.
different.
Whoopsie doops.
Mm.
But I'm excited for new Sniper Elite, because they're changing up the protagonist at the long goddamn last. They've had the same protagonist for like the last 3 games, and I think it's kind of made the story just fucking dry as shit. So cool. Keen.
How do we feel about Dying Light? New Dying Light, the Beast. More Dying Light?
sure, why not?
Yep.
I'm
Okay.
not going back for it.
Is this the same? This is the same lineage of games that started with Dead Island? Was it?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Techland. Yeah.
Yeah. Good on them. Still churning them out. It's nice to see, actually.
Seems to be going good for him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Why not? I think the big ticket item for me outside of Reanimal was not actually a video game, but video game adjacent, I suppose, which is Secret Level, which was the anthology animated series from the studio that did Love, Death, and Robots. This, to me, sounds really fucking cool. It's just grabbing a bunch of video game IP and getting studios to do like animated little features on them, and it's got some like pretty cool names in it, like Mega Man, Sifu, which I think will be really cool, Spelunky,
Keanu
What
Reeves
you do
Armored
with-
Core.
yeah, Armored Core, which is sure, like it's cool. Unreal Tournament, Outer Worlds, like I'm just interested to see what creatives will do inside the IP, and then for some reason just PlayStation, which sure I don't.
And
Yeah,
and
don't know.
unusual IP. Like none of these are well, some of these are obvious picks, but they've pulled from a wide pool, and I like that.
Crossfire, like yeah, very bizarre, but yeah,
Mm.
I think it looks really cool, and I love Death and Robots. So yeah,
We do, yeah. I'm going to
Key.
jump off the back of that with one that I thought Adam was going to mention, but he didn't. Batman Arkham Shadow. I've come around on this. The last time we spoke on this was when we saw the reveal trailer during Summer Games Fest. I was half on it because I said I like the developer. They proved themselves with Iron Man VR, but everything about what they showed at that reveal trailer did not excite me. Then we got gameplay here at Gamescom. It's looking very Arkhamverse. It's looking very first-person Batman Arkham Asylum. Down to graphics that kind of look very dated, and again that's fine. Iron Man VR looked like shit, and it was great because it gave you the most authentic kind of experience of that power fantasy. I am taking that hope and I'm putting it all on Batman Arkham Shadow. Like get us in the suit, give us the power fantasy. If anyone can do it, they can. I'm back. I'm back around on this one. Let's go.
I've
I have
gone back
one
and
very.
forth. Sorry,
sorry.
just very quickly, I was going to say we've gone back and forth on this because I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Batman in VR, and then saw the trailer and went, it doesn't look that great, but then remembered that VR games never
No.
look good in
trailers
like
never doing
flat
justice.
trailers. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give it a crack. Sorry, James, go for it.
No, you're fine. I just had one really important question. Is it the Bat?
It's de freaking bat.
Thank you, Adam.
No worries, mate.
Yeah.
One
Coming
very
out in
super,
October.
yeah, very soon as well, which is wild.
They're never super
very
quick.
mega quick thing. There they are.
No.
Jeff let Peter Molyneux on stage.
Oh,
Yeah, he
What
did.
are
What
we
a
doing?
risk.
That is
And it was
fucking wild. Was it? Oh,
I thought it was. That was the
I
most
went-
reserved I've seen you on stage ever.
I went into
That
mobile
is
for a
true.
little bit. What was I doing there? You were trying to
Oh.
make money by lying to people, Peter. That's what you were doing.
Fair.
And also, his game is called, which looks like another god game from Peter Molyneux. It's called Masters of Albion, but then he's gone ahead and said, oh, but it has nothing to do with Fable. I don't know why any of you thought it had anything to do with Fable. Because you put fucking Albion in the title, you dick.
What a
God,
twat.
that man is
He knows what
frustrating.
he's doing. Yeah, he knows.
Of course he does,
Hmm.
but he bumbles about like he doesn't. He's a fucking snake
All
oil
my
salesman.
He's a
NFTs
pillar
have
of this
flown
industry,
away.
you slut.
Fuck. Yeah, what a time.
All right, let's
Not a fan.
end it with
Mafia,
a
the
couple
old
of...
country, and moving
Okay.
on.
I feel like the big one that no one's talking. Well, no, it's I don't know why I'm being a
We
dickhead
don't
about
want
this.
to talk about it.
Indiana Jones looks whatever.
They're
It's a
both
video
the two
game.
things I was going to fucking say.
Well, all right.
Anyway, no, it's good.
Be faster
No.
at it then. So Indiana Jones, whatever. It is what it is. It's Indiana Jones, Troy Baker. Here we go. The reaction to the release date getting announced on that stage is December 5th for this year. So they're just
Nice.
creeping in with a
Mhm.
2024 game. Was pretty muted. When I was watching the stream, it was just like, yeah, okay, cool. It's coming out this year. And then like a beat later, they announced that it's also coming to PS5, and there's genuine applause. It was such a bizarre encapsulation of the entire issue Xbox is having at the moment, where just no one gives a shit unless you can play it on the console people have. And I find that amusing and fascinating.
Mm.
I think it's wild that it was framed as like and there's one more thing.
One more
That
thing.
is
Yeah.
absolutely insane to me that it's like,
Mhm.
here's this big marquee Xbox game, but just one more thing. We know you don't like playing on the mini fridge, so you can play it on the router instead. Like, that's wild.
It is. Yeah.
So what do they do
That's
from here?
crazy.
Because I think there was a tweet by Jason Schreier. I think it was Jason Schreier, and he's just like, just pick a lane Xbox. Like, what is it? Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because it was what Phil Spencer when him and Sarah Bond and the third white man, I can't remember who it is, but when they were sitting there when all of that stuff started getting leaked about the Xbox was going multi-console, and they did that little town hall meeting with everybody. They put it up on YouTube, and Spencer was like, there are some games that are going to get multi-platform. Indiana Jones is not one of them. And here we are. Like,
Did he actually say that?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
he made
did.
a point, a real point.
He's commented on that because the internet was like, so what's with this, Phil? And he was quick to say, no, I meant it wasn't one of these 4 that you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's like getting lost in semantics, but it seems like they, from an outside looking in, and obviously I have no idea about, how to run a fucking company, but it seems like they dipped their toe in, and then Sea of Thieves and Grounded and whatever else went fucking gangbusters, and they went, hold on a minute, there's a lot of money to be made here. Everyone
Daddy
seems
likes
to
this.
like it. Exactly, right?
Daddy
Like
Phil likes this.
that's what's happened, yeah. Like they've tested the waters. The waters are fucking nice and warm, so they're just going to be diving in a little bit more frequently. It seems like that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's smart that it's a timed. I think that is the smart move. Like that is the move that I thought they would initially do when we had the first discussion years ago when they bought Bethesda. I was like, it makes sense for them to make it a timed exclusive. If you want to play it day one, get it on fucking Game Pass, play it on Xbox, but then we get a second wind of cash when everyone else buys it.
You can play the beta version on Xbox, and then when we fix it over the following year and finally bring it out on the console you want to play it on, it'll be the best version.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
But still no Starfield. Do you reckon that comes game over?
Oh, that'll get like a complete edition with the DLC.
Yes, absolutely.
And that'll be in probably, another 6 months-ish, maybe sometime into next year. They'll give it a solid year on the Xbox, because, I mean, we just hit the year-ish anniversary of it. So,
are they doing more DLC for that? Do we know? Wait, have they released the first one?
They showed footage of
Right.
Shattered Space at Gamescom, and they mostly just showed a dude scooting around on a rover that looked like it was from any other game. The best part is the areas that use the rover on, you just won't. No.
Shattered Space though is 30th of September. That it did get a release date at opening night live.
This back half of the year is starting to get a little bit stacked, should we say?
It's tense.
Until it all gets delayed out again.
Yeah.
Talking about you, Stalker 2. It's okay. It's all right.
As long as it's delayed onto the PS5, I'll be happy.
But the next couple of months are good.
My palms are already getting sweaty.
Yep.
All right. Off topics. Wait, is that all the news?
I can't remember any other news that was worth hitting, unless anyone can think of anything.
I normally like to throw one at you, don't I? But I've got nothing for you.
You do. Yeah.
Let's go off topics. Do we have a film of the week? I do. If we don't.
There's a direct partner showcase. Do we know what we feeling from that? If any oracles in the room, give us one quick thing. What do you think we'll see? Switch?
Zelda related.
Or have they said no Switch?
They said no
Switch. They said no Switch. It's also wild because it's a partner showcase and an indie world. Like, motherfuckers expecting there to be a Switch. Like, idiots. Wild. I just don't understand. But
has Jeff Grubb told us that this is when the HD Zelda ports are coming in?
Fuck off.
That's a joke.
Jeff Grubb. God, he gives me the shits. There was like a leak that the Lego game, like the Lego Horizon game, has a date. I'm thinking maybe that will drop tomorrow.
Possible. Yeah.
And it'll like there'll be a PlayStation blog post, and that will coincide with the indie showcase, or the partner showcase rather. So it's a safe bet, but that's what mine would be. But yeah, I don't know otherwise.
Yeah, mine's not exciting.
Hey? No, the Lego Horizon.
Yeah. But can the Switch
handle can it handle it? Probably not, but
it's going to. It's going to creak, and it's going to sweat, but it's going to do it.
You're going to hear your little Switch fan.
Yeah.
My prediction is, Zelda comes out in like a month from this podcast going live, so surely they give us more footage of that. If not, there'll be another Nintendo Direct for Zelda later on. I don't see them doing that many within the space of a month, though. So
it's a partner and indie though. I don't know if they don't tend to like to cross their streams with their directs, because they all have their own fucking name for whatever reason.
Well, there you go. So I've already got my wires crossed there. I can't tell the fucking difference. I'm glad you
You got to get your microscope out, mate.
Very good. All right.
Square Enix will throw something in, I guess.
That's what I said. In my news article, I said that Square Enix is going to announce generic Farming Sim 7. So there'll probably be one of those in there.
Spot on.
Very good. Off topics, Nathan. You were gonna kick us off.
Oh, do I get the 2000s Film of the Week privilege?
Oh yeah, shit. I didn't even think about that. So yes.
He's on it.
Excellent. Been sitting on this one. All right.
Wait, are
Let's
we
go.
doing around the room first, or are we doing 2000 film of the week? I thought you had a film.
I haven't done anything. Get him in there.
Yeah.
All right,
Sorry, I'm
let's
doing it backwards, aren't I?
Let's very, very, very quickly. Alien Romulus. James, you didn't rate it. I'm guessing?
No. I think it's trash.
Bummer.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
The I think it's okay. I think it's well shot. I think he's a very talented director. I think the practical effects and the sets solid, decent, all very good. All looks very Alien. I think the script is kind of a CW level bit of a disaster. Those aren't characters; they are slasher characters, and I like Alien to have real characters in it personally. And then the recreation of the dead guy thing is just unforgivable. That's just I don't know. I did not fuck with it.
I didn't actually realize
Alright.
that it was like a recreation. I mean, yeah. I was like, I know that guy. Like, I know, like for some reason he's prominent to
Know
me.
him from the grave.
The Uncanny Valley.
I didn't mind. I thought it was decent, pretty solid. I mean, but you know, I'm not a big, massive Alien fan, so
Right.
I'm not, hanging on every film. I'm a bit confused in the timeline, but that might just be my not just not knowing where.
No,
it
the
sits.
timeline is confusing.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. It's a mess.
Is it before Prometheus? Or
No.
after Prometheus?
No.
Yeah, it's
After
not.
Prometheus.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
set
it's-
after
'cause
the
it's
first
set-
Alien, yeah? Between
in
Alien and Aliens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where
think-
does Prometheus sit in all those again?
Before.
It's
Prequel.
the origin point.
Right. Okay. So this is where I keep getting confused because that, you know what
You
know
say
what
the
I'm asking.
origin point, and yet Alien versus Predator is set before that.
Oh.
And they're
you
also
little
doing
minx.
Alien Earth, which is the TV series set before Prometheus, but Prometheus is when the alien was invented, basically.
Correct.
So I don't really understand how this is going to work.
Yeah, so to prove Zach's point, it's a little confusing.
Like I'm confused. Also, Alien vs Predator, I kind of fuck with that
Banger.
film. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
awesome.
I need to
Paul W.
rewatch it.
Anderson is visionary.
Yeah. That's a good
Requiem is an
No.
absolute steaming pile
We
of
don't.
shit.
No, Requiem's not a real film. No.
That was
Cool.
funny though.
Okay,
I
good.
do remember that one. I remember the pool scene and shit. That was a funny
Oh,
film.
God.
We've got
No sense.
AVP in the old disc wallet. Just
Hey.
Very good. Very
Legend.
good.
there you
This
go.
guy.
Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
Anybody else seen anything? I've seen a few things. What have we seen lately? No, Romulus was the last thing I saw. Sorry. No, I realized that we discussed long legs.
Mm.
We did.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
TV shows. Sugar got
Been
real
watching the
fucking
anime,
weird.
Zach?
No, Sugar got real fucking weird on Apple TV.
Good weird? I
Okay.
like weird. Jump the
Twisty
shark.
weird, twisty weird. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Now watching a German show called Crooks. There you go. That's
Is
me.
that also on Apple TV?
That is not on Apple TV. That is on Netflix at the moment.
Hey, look, you branching out. Yeah.
Oh no, look at me. I'll be back on Apple TV in a week though when Slow Horses comes out.
Yes. Yep. Sounds good.
Yep.
Take it away. Someone else. Go for it.
I have been watching Gangs of London season 2, of which the only person here that would know about that is Zach. Fine.
Yeah, I
I
can't
don't
remember it.
find it as compelling as the first season. Like,
Mm.
it still has that gimmick of every episode has like a really high production visceral fight scene that's like way too good for anything shot in Britain. Like it's super like
Fuck
It's
the
real in your
British.
face MMA bullshit. It looks so good. The stunts.
And it's real
But,
stylish, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah, it's real good. Because I mean, the dude that made the original one was the dude responsible for the Raid films, which are just these amazing martial arts films out of Indonesia.
Yeah, cool.
They're just mind blowing. So those fights are in this series, but the thing is like they've only got budget for like one of those scenes every episode, and then everything else around that is I've got mixed feelings about. It can be a little bit melodramatic. The plot gets very muddy. The characters are a little whatevs. So yeah, it's it's more of the same, just not as good, and that's kind of enough.
Yeah.
Did you like it, Zach? You're over it, mate.
I don't even remember it. The second
Yeah,
season.
it's
So,
very forgettable because the storytelling is non-existent in the second
but I
season.
think
It's
I
just a lot of
thought it was fine. Yeah, like it was.
Yeah.
It gave me what I wanted. It's like when you go and watch John Wick, right? Like you want to go see some cool action, and you're not going for much else.
Those films have like real diminishing returns on the emotional payoff, I
I
find.
wonder how I feel about this show. Yeah.
You should watch it,
Diminishing
James.
returns on the emotional payoff is the perfect line that I'd give season 2 of Gangs of London. Yeah.
That's a bummer. I rewatched Rings of Power season 1 in preparation for season 2 coming out later this
it's
week.
this week, isn't it?
It is 3-episode premiere. Let's fucking go.
Wait, did you 3?
3 hours of it. Yeah,
Oh.
fucking strap in. Yeah,
All
Just
right, let's
remind
do
me, who's the newbie to Lord of the Rings? Is it you, James?
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
only
right.
just watched the films properly this year.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
Yeah, because I watched Rings of Power when it first came out, and I thought it was fine. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Watched the films, and now having rewatched the show, loved it. Really, really enjoyed it a lot more this time.
You should go play Gollum. Complete the set.
I should,
Oh.
yeah. Turn that into some content.
The game that famously had a higher peak player count on Steam than Concord. How you doing?
Adam, are you going to be checking in with Concord again?
Yeah,
How does
absolutely.
Heartbreak feel?
He's reviewing it.
I am reviewing it
Okay,
slowly,
lovely.
Good boy.
but
Next week, then.
surely.
Yeah, very good.
Yes,
very
next
good.
week it will be
Proud
for
of you.
sure.
2000s? Or
2000s, baby.
anything else?
I watched the horror film
right.
and it really was really shit. I can't remember what it was called. So
I think it's fine if it's just gone then.
yeah, it's gone.
He's had his moment. So, can't give these characters names away because, like that, you get it. So, I've got 2 FBI agents that are called back to duty by the Bureau because a former priest claims he's received psychic visions about a kidnapped agent. A little bit of mystery going on here.
Is it White Chicks? No, it's not White Chicks. But
I love that that's the first place she went, and you were very far off. But yeah, White Chicks, that deserves a shout out. Let's go. That's another 2000s film of the week.
No, surely not. Maybe is this the X-Files movie?
is it? James?
Whoa, he's 90% of the way there. So it is an X-Files movie.
But it's cool. It's got like a subtitle, right?
It does.
Fuck.
At this point, you could just fucking Google it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could just tell us. It's fine. I'd
So
say I
he's
nailed
right.
it.
From
Yeah.
2008, pretty
Yeah.
mediocre film. The X-Files, I Want to Believe, the second
I
X-Files
was gonna
film.
say I want to believe, but I thought that sounded wrong.
Oh.
Fuck, damn it. Okay, cool. Well, there you go.
Smashed it.
Trust
Yeah.
in yourself, friends.
Is that
So,
with the X-Filers, like the main people?
Yes, yeah. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. Yeah. This
It-
was this
It
is a
stars the
weird.
X-Files. Yes.
This was a weird film because it was like between or after the show. I think it was when the show went on a hiatus that this came out. This show's gone on hiatus several times. It's I think the last season was in like 2022 or something like
Did
that.
that show
Weird show.
that last season? Did it stink?
I watched the second last season, which came out in like 2010 or 2019, and I thought that was like 6 episodes. I thought that was the biggest mixed bag, like 3 good episodes, 3 dog shit episodes. So I didn't watch the last season. I'm actually going through the series again now, though, and the series is being restored in HD. They've like done the whole like wide frame and everything on Disney Plus. I actually think as a HD restoration, it looks fantastic. Like it's really given a great level of polish to an early 90s series, makes it look gorgeous, really brings them sets to life. I think it's elevated by its remaster. So a lot of fun to go back and watch that one on Disney Plus.
There you go.
Mm. Nice.
I
So-
want to believe that this show's wrapping up.
It is. It is.
Ah,
It
you
is
know
done.
what?
It is done.
It is.
It is
How
done.
about that?
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the WellPlayed DLC podcast. If you want to check out the content, go to www.well-play.com.au. Check out Adam's Star Wars review, Nathan's Emio.
The Smiling Man, the Famicom Detective
the
Club.
Smiling Man's colon. And you can also read James's Star Wars review on Press Start as well. And we got Google
right.
up there. You know, if you want
Thank
to
you.
read a phone thing, you can read that. Good stuff. Other than that, have a great weekend. And don't watch that shit film I watched. I can't remember what it's called, but just don't watch that one.
I like
And,
how
banger.
you can't just the Smiling Man's colon.
Yep.
My nickname
Bye.
from now on.
Goodbye.
Farewell.